we really doing this? Are we really going? Hey-o!
We're going.
Master production.
Live from your personalized ESG DEI Tesla license plate. Ooh. Think about it, Jesse.
That's great.
It's a reverse troll. It's a Business Pants Friday show here at March 24th Studios featuring all of your favorites. We got Ari the Data Queen, Jesse the Money Whisperer, the Board Sabermetrics Guru, Matt Mascardi. Matt, you need a Board Sabermetrics t-shirt.
I prefer Lord of Board Sabermetrics.
Whatever it is, you need a new t-shirt to promote
He's been
our wonderful
saying
products.
that he's going to design them, but
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much things I can do
To sell. On today's weekly wrap-up, I think Business Pants has a new favorite company.
We do.
Ari's ongoing obsession with 3D printers. Talking a-holes. I'm kind of afraid of that segment. And people ignoring how much Daniel Ek sucks and hides behind his alias Spotify.
Aw.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Come on.
Are you ready?
Yeah,
Here we
give
go.
me
Ready.
something. I hate that music.
That's why I play it every single week.
I'm not Woodrow Wilson, for Christ's sake. Here we go. Come on. Story of the week. Swiss bank.
we're waiting.
It was like a long pause
Hopefully you
there.
picked the right stories this week.
I just
Barack
swallowed a
Obama
dragonfly. Swiss bank suckiness. But I think we've covered it all week, right?
Yep.
Did
we don't have to go in any more
about
depth.
it?
No. They
Matt,
stink.
you've done a good job untangling it. I saw you had a crummy post on LinkedIn. I think we've done it, right?
When you sell
Crummy.
when you sell it like that, everybody
I meant
buys
crummy
what
like
you
a
sell.
delicious crumb cake. You know what I mean?
the kind that you are not allowed to eat when
Yeah.
you come here.
Our CEO was
So, yeah.
in Barron's. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was.
Yes,
I was in
exactly.
Barron's.
He was. Were you talking about Credit Suisse in Barron's? I forget already.
talking about SVB. and
Okay, well that's
governance.
okay.
Yeah.
It's tangential.
Same theme.
So UBS swallowed up Credit Suisse earlier this week. That seems like a big deal. Number 2 story of the week. The U.S. learns TikTok CEO's name. That's Shou Chu.
Oh. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Correction. No one learned his name.
that's true. I actually agree with that, except for me because I've been practicing it in my sleep. Here's a quote from the testimony yesterday. Here's a bipartisan assessment of today's TikTok hearing at the House Energy and Commerce Committee. It was a disaster for the popular video sharing app and its CEO, Shou Chu.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. 2 key takeaways. Washington, D.C. has already made up its mind about TikTok, and TikTok CEO stresses its practices are no different than U.S. tech giants.
Ooh.
TikTok is correct.
Anyone have any insight here? Because it seems like we're on a path for TikTok to go away, but how is that even feasible? Could that really actually happen, or will ByteDance figure out a way to spin off something else? And is this really going to happen? Is TikTok going to
Didn't
go
Biden
away?
ask them to sell TikTok away from ByteDance?
And is anyone going to believe that sale is really going to create a wall?
I mean, the thing that's interesting about TikTok is it's banned in China. Well, actually,
Wait, is that true?
there's no TikTok in China. Yeah.
Oh,
Are we all furiously Googling right now?
Yeah,
I don't feel like
it's
it.
not available on the Chinese mainland.
yeah.
And
What about Taiwan?
When a friend of mine found that out, she immediately deleted it because she was like,
What?
I've been doing this thinking it's fun and entertaining, and the China thing was totally overwrought. But now they don't even show it in China. That's got to be a red
That triggered
flag.
her?
Yeah, that triggered. That was all it took.
I'm just happy that you have
Yeah,
friends.
she's highly triggerable.
I mean, this guy should have shown up with a mirror and
Not
every
this
time
guy, Shou Chu.
showed you. Should
dare
have shown
you.
up with a mirror.
How dare you?
All right, well, that's the second story of the week. Seems pretty big. The third story, which nobody wants to talk about, the IPCC Climate Science Report.
Oh.
It can all be boiled. Excuse me. It can all be boiled down to this one phrase: oil profits or a livable future. There you go.
Classic phrase.
It is a classic, isn't it? It's been number one for like 14 years in a row.
Greatest hits.
And finally, the fourth biggest story of the week. This one's for me. I always like to put a show story of the week. I think officially that Starbucks has become Business Pants' favorite company ever.
Yeah,
and let me
that's
tell
true.
you
I
why.
loved it. It was fantastic.
And I have a long list of reasons why to convince Jesse, because it's hard to convince Jesse of anything. Here we go. Ready? First of all, boomerang CEOs, right? Howard Schultz is a boomerang CEO. It's something that we love to talk about here.
We do. We nailed that.
We
CEOs
love
that
those.
come back and fill in power voids that can only really be demonstrated by our data, our
And
influencer data.
he's a twice boomerang.
Yeah, dude, he's
Well,
a
boomerangs
double
never
rang.
stop flying around. Number two, there's a bunch of superstar CEO nonsense, like we reported this week that Howard Schultz pulled a Bob Iger by quitting 2 weeks early and somehow not being CEO during his testimony at Congress and not being CEO at
nailed
the
it.
annual meeting.
Really nailed
Wow.
it.
Yeah,
That's
just
how you
shirking
win.
his duties.
It's called winning.
Number three, of course, our beloved, world-famous Southeast Asian CEO theory.
Love a good Southeast Asian CEO.
Laxman Narasimhan, the new CEO. Number four, three of our categories here at Business Pants in perfect harmony. And that is CEOs rule battling stakeholders rule to create a war. And that is the union busting Starbucks, always in the news for just trying to wrestle with its unions. Yeah,
Do we have a ruling on whether union busting is woke or not woke?
that's a great question. Right?
I really don't know.
The answer is yes.
it's for the workers, right? But I can't parse it.
Number five, just awesome, corny CEO bullshit. Not only did we
there
have
was a lot of that today.
Not only we have that horrible Holocaust blanket story from previous CEO Howard Schultz, but the new Starbucks CEO, Matt, you might be covering this later, says he'll work a half a day per month behind a store counter as he plans to prioritize, quote, human connection over every cup of coffee.
Oh, I cut it from mine because it wasn't really an asshole take.
Okay.
But he did have a quote that was, after being trained for 40 hours as a barista and then working a half a day as a barista, his hot take was, we have too many different sized lid covers for the types of cups we have.
What?
Yeah, not joking.
Wow,
He didn't come out of
CEO.
that and say, "Wow, our workers work really hard," or
Yeah.
"Wow, like there's like the customers can sometimes be really rude. We need to protect our workforce." Or no, he
Too many
said
lids.
the lid sizes are all wrong
Aw.
and weird.
Is he going to change that? I want to see.
He
see.
said we need to get more efficient.
Oh, this is
excited.
awesome. This is like when Sheryl Sandberg was pregnant and needed to walk, and then they were like, oh, we should put a pregnancy spot at the Facebook parking lot.
That's what's awesome about that. Lids.
I mean, it's stupid. It's like, oh my God,
you
nobody
go.
could
You're
have thought
comparing
this.
lids to a pregnancy spot? How dare you?
yeah,
I'm comparing the lack of thought and interest.
Number six, the ultimate troll against the anti-ESG, anti-woke people like Vivek and Strive. Starbucks has the ultimate ESG DEI chair, and that is Melody Hobson. Right? I think
No
the
merit.
only black female chair in the S&P 500, I believe.
Stop bringing up the fact that she is black, she's a she, she's a chair. All of those things don't have to do with meritocracy.
Why isn't she CEO?
Well, because Southeast Asian CEO theory won out.
Yeah, she's
I
not
mean,
Southeast
chair
Asian.
and CEO is just so common.
And
Not
I'm gonna
that
explain-
I'm advocating for it, but
In my predictions, I'll explain exactly why they picked him as a CEO, Ari. And finally, my seventh reason why Starbucks has to be the favorite company of Business Pants, maybe by far, is that they have the funnest data disclosure in their annual proxy. They list the director's favorite drinks, the new CEO's favorite drink, which is oddly kind of in contrast to how boring he is. His drink is a doppio macchiato with steamed skim milk. Doesn't that seem like too much?
No.
What is
There's
that?
too many words in that.
Right? Is he like trying to flex that he's a real human being or something? What is this?
Oh no! He is the customer that every barista hates. Like, all right, because
he mumbles his- yeah.
So did you say steamed or whipped milk? I didn't hear that.
There you go. Those are the 4
Damien,
stories
you
of the week.
forgot
Yeah.
the grossest Starbucks story
Tell
of
me.
this week.
Tell me.
They're coming out with a coffee that has olive oil in it.
Actually, Jesse,
Oh.
I disagree with you. I love olive oil so much that often people will see me sipping it. I just love olive oil.
That's different than putting it in your. This is like
I'm-
another version of bullet coffee
No,
where they
I'm
put butter.
for
Have
this.
you ever?
I'm-
Okay,
had
you're
both.
Italians
gonna
like
have
this. I like
a
Italians. They do
really
it.
Oily film in your mouth after drinking your coffee.
I love
That's
this.
nasty.
Wow,
Zero
Damien loves
Italians like this. I was
Okay, well,
just in Rome. You want
yeah.
to know how many times I saw an Italian sipping olive oil in their coffee?
Yeah, but you were in the lobby of a Hilton Garden Inn. No one knows. You don't know what's going on.
Does Damien know that France is not in Italy?
I love olive oil. Anything. So I'm
Okay.
going to disagree with you, Jesse, until I
Gross.
try
All right, I
it. I'm
didn't
gonna-
read the audience well for that one.
And shockingly and embarrassingly, I did try the bullet coffee phase for a while. It's disgusting and horrible.
Yeah,
I
it
did
is.
enjoy it for like a month, but then I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why don't?
So
what
what
is-
makes you think this fat in coffee will taste any different?
Because olive oil is a healthy fat.
Okay.
But you're right. It does qualify as another great, stupid reason why Starbucks is my favorite. So
There you go.
Anyone want to vote story of the week?
God.
I loved your Starbucks roundup.
Right? I mean, how could
I
you not?
really, really did.
Except that that's not the
Except
story of
no
the week.
one's
Well, it is.
talking
Swiss
about
bank.
Starbucks.
It is the story. Howard Schultz stepped down 2 weeks early. That's part of the
know-
reason why I chose it.
TikTok's the story, man.
Okay.
Swiss bank
Yep,
for
that's
me.
my vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Swiss Bank was so last week.
It did happen on Saturday. So
It still qualifies for our weekly roundup.
this is hard for me. I'm going to make Damien break the tie because
What did
even
Jesse vote
though
for? What did Jesse vote for?
she voted for Swiss Bank
Okay.
and Ari voted for
TikTok.
TikTok.
Oh, no.
I'm going to vote, even though this
Oh,
is
no.
the 97th report saying the same exact thing.
Oh, no.
I'm going to vote for the IPCC
Why?
climate. Because Swiss banks can fall into the ocean and TikTok is pointless. And who cares about a Doppio skimmed whip maca whatever if the world is on fire? And
Well,
that's-
I
they-
heard Matt ordered a macchiato today this morning.
I don't. Ooh, not me. I don't do macchiato.
What is a macchiato?
I
Can
have a
someone please
black
explain what a
coffee.
That's what
macchiato
his
is?
cup says right now. His Starbucks cup.
Oh,
He's just
oh.
he's playing hard to get.
I order a black venti. That's it. No sugar, no milk, no nothing.
What is a black venti? Is,
That's
is venti the size?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think venti's
It's the
size.
biggest lid.
Okay. The biggest, right? That's the way to order it.
Can I have your biggest
Matt.
lid?
Can I say what's interesting about your choice is that Elon Musk directly, in contrast to what you're saying, is blaming the bank collapses on our attention to the climate. He's trolling Biden today on Twitter because Biden is caring about the climate and the climate report, et cetera.
Isn't his entire company designed to fight climate change?
It's bizarre, yeah, and I don't, and it reminds me daily of why I don't understand why Jesse drives a Tesla. I just don't get it.
Oh boy.
Aw,
I have my
wah,
Subaru
wah.
today. Okay.
Just
so
like your mom, Damien.
why? So you're just
Your
choosing
mom's
that because I'm surprised that this is a big deal to you. Why?
Because
Because of their attention on fossil fuels. What
No,
makes this
because
one
they,
different?
They cut the year. They cut it by a decade.
Okay.
They basically said now we have to be done with oil and gas and coal entirely,
Mm-hmm.
zero by 2040. And I don't know if my math is right, but that's 17 years from now, right? It's
Yeah.
less than 20 years to pivot entirely away from the way we make and do everything.
All right.
Seems significant.
Here's my tie-breaking vote. I wanted to pick
Ooh.
Starbucks, but nobody cares, so I can't pick that one. Ari, I would agree with you when something actually happens. Nothing's actually happened with TikTok yet.
What do you mean? It was the story of the week because it was talked about relentlessly.
Shush. Jesse, I would go with you, Jesse, but I just don't understand anything about banks. So I'm ignorant. I'm an idiot. So I'm going to go. Here's the reason why I'm going to go with the climate science report is because unlike this almost seems like a counterpunch to Larry Fink's deplorably non-ESG, non-climate letter, right? Like the they're coming strong. Like, we still care, you dopes, right? This is like their anti-Vivek report. That's how I'm phrasing it in my head. They're coming strong.
It's the pro-ex Larry Fink.
Exactly.
Right? Like, it's basically the IPCC is saying, you were right before. This should basically take over everything you think about.
Keep it going.
And the reason why this is important is because it's all it could very well boil down to politics to how this plays out, right? And this is why this push from people like Vivek and the anti-Larry Fink people is important, because if they slow it down just a little, it could be very dangerous. So I know Vivek is playing a funny game where he greases his hair and he smiles and he pretends like black people are ruining the country, but it's actually not that funny.
But the way to think about this is it is 4 presidential terms until we need to be off oil and gas, which means if Vivek is elected president of the United States, that is 1/4 of an entire presidential, like the terms remaining to get us off oil and gas. I just think it's a big deal.
Moving on. So that's the story of the week. Moving on. Who's up? Ooh, Ari, good lease of the week.
I'm up.
I'm pumped.
All right, I have mostly quick stories for you.
That's a lie. Yeah, go ahead.
But we're going to start with 3D printing.
I'm already
and
bored. Yeah, tell me.
Relativity Space. They launched the first 3D printed rocket.
Oh,
That's the appropriate reaction. Yeah, I like that.
If you've never heard of Relativity Space, they are like I think of them as a little sibling to Blue Origin and SpaceX.
no.
And it might be the annoying little sibling.
Wait, why are they
because they're
little
taking out the
sibling?
spotlight.
Are they just a smaller
They
company?
have a lesser billionaire who's funding.
Okay.
Actually, they're funded by BlackRock. They are funded by a lot of people. There was not. I looked at it, and there was not one name that popped out like the other people. But anyway, they
not
successfully
Shochu.
launched Terran 1, and it's made 85% from 3D printing. And this is the first time this has happened, and they had to build giant 3D printers of metal, and they're the biggest 3D printers in the world.
Rocket sized, roughly.
Right. And so the launch went successfully because even though they didn't reach orbit, but it was a huge milestone for additive manufacturing because it actually proves that technology can work. And 3D printing is already being used in rockets and jet engines, but just for certain parts, right? Like he used to work, one of the founders used to work at Blue Origin and then quit his job because he thought, I can print this whole freaking thing. Like, it would be so much better.
And why do you love that so much? Why are you so infatuated with 3D printing?
Because it's looking at the assembly line and how it takes Blue
firing
Origin and SpaceX 1 to 2 years to get one of the rockets out. It could take this 3D printer 60 days.
So
And
you're
I'm
just
not a
marveling at the
rocket-obsessed
technology.
person.
Yeah.
Correct. Of the assembly line that we've had since the freaking Model T Ford.
Ooh.
Yeah, fire those bastards. You're saying fire those bastards, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm
Crush that
saying
union.
this is great. And
I don't
it was
get
cool.
why. I
It
don't
was
get
cool
why.
watching it.
It's engineer great.
Wait, Ari,
It is. It's technology great.
Ari, weren't we bonding over watching the Netflix documentary? What's it called? American Factory?
Yeah. What about it?
So, I mean, part of what was so heartwarming about that was the struggle of the American workers to stay relevant, right? And you're suggesting that a 3D printer coming in and firing them is making you excited? That's good? That's your goodliest of the week? I'm just a little
should we
lost.
all go back to farming? I don't understand.
Yes,
Am I
please.
missing something? Is if just because it's 3D printed, that means there's no more assembly? It's just all printed together?
Correct. That is the goal. 85%
Look
of
how
it is
excited she
being
is.
Yeah.
being printed together.
I
Okay.
was still
print.
thinking that they were 3D printing parts, but still having to assemble.
No, that is the crazy part, and it's awesome. And
I feel
Damien,
sad for the workers too.
what? Workers in a factory? They don't even want to be there. Train them so they know how to repair 3D printers.
You know this? You know they don't want to be there?
Did you watch the documentary?
They
you
did
see
wanna
how
be there.
miserable they were?
Yeah, they were
Rather-
miserable because their
getting
unions got
underpaid.
busted down, and they used to make like $30 an hour, and now they make like $12 an hour.
It doesn't make any sense to take 2 years to build something that you can print in 60 days.
I'm confused why this is good.
Anyway.
I'm not quibbling with you can like this. I just don't get why it's good. But keep going.
It's called progress. Number 2.
Yes.
Oh, I really like this one. Come on. I think we can all get behind this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
The FTC proposes click to cancel rule that would make it easier and
Yes.
cheaper to cancel
Yep,
subscriptions
love it.
and memberships.
I like this
Come
one.
on.
This I love.
And thank you.
The audience agrees with this one.
It's not just limited to digital streaming. It also it would also apply to gym memberships, phone companies, cable
gym?
TV services.
Yeah.
Right. Man, I was in a 2-year membership thing with the gym, and the hoops I had to jump through to get out of that. Other changes proposed by the FTC include the ability for customers to decide whether or not sellers can pitch additional offers as they're trying to cancel a subscription.
I do like
you know
that.
those.
Yeah, I like when
Yeah.
they're
Are
like,
you sure you wouldn't
we'll give
leave?
you 6
Yeah.
months for free.
I know,
How
and
about
you're
now?
like, oh, maybe I should.
we're joking, but this is the only way we're going to maintain positive revenue as a company is figuring out how to not let our customers cancel.
Please stay, sir.
Fun tidbit. When I was in college, I did offer my services to cancel my friends' subscriptions for a fee.
What?
So, Damien,
You
I don't know if you
charge
like
them?
this anymore
Look at
because
that
it'll
entrepreneurship.
put people out of business.
Just no. Think about it though. Like, someone is going to have to get paid to click the button. So all the people in the factory from the 3D printed thing
That's true.
will just be clicking cancel buttons.
I like that.
There you go.
All right.
else?
And number 3, Elon Musk needs Twitter advertisers, but they're not coming back.
Is that true?
You know,
I like
5
that.
months later,
Tell me.
I thought this was great. 5 months later, out of their top 10 advertisers that they had on the platform before Musk took over, only 6 are still advertising.
Okay.
And
Even
the
that seems
revenue,
high.
the revenue was down 40%.
Revenue
right?
from advertising?
Yes.
Not just
For-
the top 10, but all advertising. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Which,
But-
what a coinkydink. 40% of their top 10 walk away, the revenue drops
Yeah.
by 40%.
The only
What?
problem is that this guy is literally the richest man in the world and does not care about the revenue coming in for Twitter. He's going to
No.
keep
That's fine.
He's going to
That's
keep
fine.
it just for his anti-Semitic friends to troll us.
Sure, but I do like that companies are not going back
Yeah,
to it.
there's
Yeah,
some
okay.
out there sticking to their
You know,
morals.
they're not
Come on.
normalizing
But
it.
you know what he did?
What did he
He
do?
made up the revenue by firing everyone who works
That's
at
true.
Twitter. It's,
That's okay. This is not about revenue.
He's 3D
this doesn't
printing
say
workers.
Twitter is suffering. It's just
So
saying
you're-
people are
yeah.
not going back.
Okay, but it does debunk the fact that he doesn't care about revenue because clearly.
Well, he's got a massive debt service every single year he's got to cover, and he doesn't
Doesn't
want
pay
to
his
sell
rent
Tesla
anyway.
stock. So
Ari,
that's pretty good too.
do you happen to know the names of those companies that don't no longer advertise with Twitter? Do you know any
No.
of them?
Or the 6
Okay.
that's still advertising.
Yeah, I
What
wanna
the
know
Yeah,
this.
I want to know
Next
those
week.
so we could shame them.
Next week.
All right, next week, shameless. And then I just had a little extra one, Biden's veto as
Oh, yeah.
the goodliest. of the-
Preserving ESG, preserving our company.
Yeah,
He did it for business
yeah.
pants.
So there you
He
go.
said that actually in his speech.
Goodliest of the
I
week.
wish we got a shout
I'm
out.
going to go first.
Go ahead.
I'm really tempted to vote for the 3D printed rocket simply
Why?
because Ari likes it so much. Like
It's true.
it's-
It is endearing.
It's Ari's goodliest of the week.
Yeah.
And that would be a reflection of Ari. But instead, I'm going to vote for the FTC, which I like to click. I like one-click canceling of everything.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah,
could do
yeah.
that with my friends, if I
Us?
could do that with my kids.
You would love to.
Unsubscribe from
you
this
would love to
friendship.
cancel me with one click if you
It's just,
could.
it would be delightful. Yeah.
You just get a notification.
It would send you an automated email saying you're no longer a member.
Jesse, what do you think?
I'm actually going to go with FTC as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta
Wow.
say, there's no real decision here. I mean,
Not even the president single-handedly keeping us going.
It's
No.
cool, but it's cool.
yeah,
but
we
this
would've-
is
I think
good
Matt-
for people.
I think Matt would call that reversing stupidity, right? That video. But
yeah, well, they didn't enact the stupidity, so it's halting stupidity.
And the 3D printing one is just plain idiocy, Ari. But I do like how excited you get about it. And the Elon Musk, I'm sorry, but it has no effect. This just has no effect on him. I wish it did, but it doesn't. So
You'd be bitching about it if all the advertisers went right back.
Yeah.
So
Ari's
does he
feisty
even
today,
need
so
advertisers?
Don't challenge her.
Does he even need that revenue? Is the question.
I'm just saying, don't challenge Ari because she's gonna eat your face.
Good news of the week: FTC making click to cancel easier. Come on, Matt, make us depressed. Assholiest of the week. Come on.
I'm gonna make you more depressed than.
No, I'm feeling good. We haven't
pretty
been depressed yet, really. Come on.
The 3D printing depressed you.
That's true.
All right, I have 4, and this week I did a theme, which is who said it the assholiest. Instead of just doing an asshole, I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So here's a quote, and I'll tell you who said it afterwards, unless you read it on the copy that I wrote, which is the first quote: "I am leaving you with this letter written on the sunset of my last day as CEO for all of you to read on the morning of this new era."
Oh my God.
This is not a letter with
Cringe.
advice. Everything you need to know resides inside of each of you.
I think Ari
Was this George W. Bush
Ari,
leaving the
you just-
White House?
Deepak Chopra, that's my guess.
Ari, both of you just admitted that you didn't listen to Wednesday's show.
No,
That-
we know who it is.
Yeah,
We're
they're having fun.
it's comedic
It
relief.
is-
I like it.
It is Howard Schultz from Howard Schultz's letter to leaders.
Letter to leaders.
Very
jeez.
specifically wrote this letter to leaders.
I forgot to even include
Because nobody else matters, right?
There's-
That's why the barista didn't give a shit when you asked her.
This was not about the barista that I asked the other day whether she cared that Howard Schultz was stepping down early. This is
Did you ask that?
leaders. I did. And
This is how
Starbucks.
great Starbucks is, because I didn't even mention in my first story that we spent almost an entire episode on that stupid letter this week. That didn't even make the list of why they're so great. That letter was truly fantastic.
But I do know that everything, the line, everything you need to know resides inside of each of you. Does that include healthcare? Does that reside inside of each of us? That was my
That is
initial
from
reaction.
Star Wars, right?
Is it?
It feels more Lion King to me.
Okay.
It could be, actually. Yeah, it could be. It's every Disney movie. Next quote. In my opinion, ESG is a worldwide human satanic organization effort.
Oh.
A man-made sabotage of God.
I remember
Wow.
this. Yeah. Who said that?
North Dakota Representative Bill Tvet.
Oh, you know
Tweet?
what? There was also
Tweet?
someone in Utah who said something similar. So this is a
Something
new thing.
similar.
Yeah.
This is a new thing. This is from a story. Audio recording reveals coordinated push against ESG investing. And I just love how ESG went from tree-hugging hippies, which is, I literally got called in multiple meetings a tree-hugging hippie, to capitalists, purely capitalist, killer money-making enterprise.
Right, right.
Back to satanic hippies, all in the span of a decade.
Well, I think
Full
the
circle.
satanic thing takes it up a new level, though, right? A tree
It
hugger
does.
is not a Satan worshiper.
Although everybody thought the hippies were Satan loving, right?
I guess that's true. If you are worshiping a tree, it does make you adjacent to loving Satan,
you're
right?
basically Satan adjacent.
Yeah,
exactly.
interesting.
So you went from tree hugger to tree hater to
To
trees
tree.
are my witchcraft.
I'm confused by this, though. Can you guys help me out with this,
Smudging?
though? I know it's funny, the whole Satan thing, but what does it mean, a man-made sabotage of God? What does that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's God's will that we are
What?
burning down the earth.
No, I like
I don't
that
know.
it's a worldwide human satanic organization effort.
Well, that's true.
He's
Matt,
just throwing.
president?
He's
Matt?
just picking words and putting them in
No.
a certain order.
we both worked at MSCI. We had worldwide offices.
We did. But MSCI did not. The S does not stand for satanic. It wasn't Morgan Satanic Capital International.
You have no actual proof of that.
All right, number 3. This is a quote from somebody who's not famous or interesting. The quote is, "The thought of this happening is horrifying. This stuff, and we don't even know what it is, going into the river that we depend on for food production."
Oh, I know what this story is.
That is Aaron in Bastrop, Texas. from the story, Texans sound off against Elon Musk's horrifying plans for dumping the Boring Company wastewater into the Colorado River.
Wait, why is Aaron the asshole?
No, the quote is very... Here's why.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, why?
Elon Musk went from California with so many woke rules about putting turpentine in local rivers to Texas, where there are no rules and he can put entire rockets in the Rio Grande because and Texas was like, this is great. You're showing us that you're not woke. They're trying to protect him. And then the first thing he does in Texas is fight about a permit for like getting roads into SpaceX. And the second thing he does is wants to dump wastewater in their rivers. And now they're like, whoa, that's not cool. Like, don't
That's
do
who
that.
they voted for.
Yeah.
Come on, assholes.
Deregulation
You
all the
asked
way.
For him, you wanted deregulation. You want to claim that you're like anti-woke, and the minute something happens, you're all out there being like, where's the regulation to stop him from hurting our
So,
rivers?
Are you exaggerating, or is it true that Texas has extremely lax regulations about dumping things in rivers? This is serious?
Texas has lax regulations on almost everything.
But everything. That's
you
just
can,
horrifying.
Probably not as much as California. Like you're at two extremes here.
I mean, considering that the Boring Company basically accomplishes nothing.
no.
Yeah, is it?
They dig holes.
I didn't actually realize that was his company.
Yeah,
oh,
Boring, Neuralink, Twitter,
SpaceX.
Tesla,
And what are they-
and SpaceX.
They're
He's the
just
CEO of 5
building
companies.
holes for
Some
cars
busy
to
man.
drive, like tunnels for people to drive
But
through.
we only
Yeah.
know of one
Tunnels.
successful one, right, in Las Vegas. So where are they boring a hole in Texas? Do we
No,
know?
that's where the company's located now, or something.
So they're just doing
So-
practice drilling and coming up with wastewater and dumping it in people's drinks.
You know who's really good at treating wastewater?
No.
Pepsi.
3D printers.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about the Boring Company is they did it in the 80s and 90s. It was called the Big Dig in Boston.
Oh, I
That's-
like
Oh,
the big dig.
yeah.
I like
They
the big
did.
dig.
They did not need a company to do more of that.
I
like
love the
those
name.
parks.
And then
Right.
the last quote I have here, quote, more than 150 million people in the United States use TikTok on a monthly basis, with
Yep.
the average user today being an adult well past college age.
Oh, really?
Their videos provide a lens through which the rest of the world can experience American culture.
I think that
Propaganda. Is this the CEO?
This is Xiao Chu, the CEO of
Oh,
TikTok.
sorry, Damien.
I think he
Nice.
means it provides a bridge to wear meta diapers, because really all they're creating is catatonic people flipping
No.
through these insidious, nonsensical videos that have
If-
zero meaning.
If we didn't think that this was a Chinese-run organization, that line should tell you everything. This is exactly what the Chinese think of us. The videos provide a lens through which the rest of the world can experience American culture. Do you know how stupid we look on TikTok?
Is he wrong?
Whether you're not
Is he
dancing,
wrong, though?
you're
No,
taking.
the sad thing is no.
Yeah.
So I think we're also the assholes.
I just love it. Okay, so the three
This
quotes
makes me
you have
like
to
him
choose
more.
from are Howard Schultz quote, where he gets to say, everything you need to know resides inside each of you.
Oh.
The sunset of my last day as CEO. And Bill tweet from North Dakota about man-made ESG is a man-made sabotage of God.
I still want to know what that means. Yeah.
I love it.
Isn't everything
Texas being horrified that Elon Musk is Elon Musk after they asked Elon Musk to be Elon Musk in Texas, and Xiao Chu really needling America by actually saying that what we look like on TikTok is America.
Why
Aw.
didn't God
love
just
him.
Why didn't God just make a bunch of other gods? Why did he
Well-
bother to make humans?
I mean, I think some cultures believe that there are.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Many
I'm going to go for...
Your stand-up act is complete.
I just want to know.
I'm going to vote, even though I do truly feel bad for Aaron, I'm going to vote for the Texas quote.
Just because you're mad at
Ooh.
Elon?
Just because, come on, like, there are consequences to lax rules.
To letting in
And-
monsters? We don't know that Aaron is a
I
right-
agree.
We
but
don't know
I
that she's
hope-
a right-wing Republican. She might be one of the Democrats who
Even
lives
if
in
she
Texas.
is a
Yeah.
right-wing Republican, she can round up her right-wing Republican friends and
Uh-huh.
try to do something about
That'll
it
happen,
at the
yeah.
state level. Why not?
No, Ari, she's
How
better
else
off.
does change happen, Damien?
Ari, she's better off 3D printing more Democrats to vote with her in Texas.
They can make them up to 20 feet tall.
Jesse, you have a favorite asshole of the week?
I'm gonna do Schultz.
Oh, yeah, right.
Ooh, yeah.
The light within you. What was
Light
it?
within you.
It is the sunset of my last day, and everything you need resides.
That
Oh.
just
inside
seems
you.
spiritual bypassy to me.
Damien on Wednesday's show did the river that's cutting through the valleys, and like there's a whole segment. That's
Matt, before I vote, explain why is Show Chew the asshole for saying that? He's just stating a fact,
no,
right?
honestly, none of these
He's
are really
not.
assholes.
Yeah.
These are more
Just
like
like Aaron.
things that tickled my fancy.
That triggered your asshole bone.
Yeah, someone around the quote either refers to an asshole or they're an
A
asshole.
finger on the prostate, so to speak.
Oh, my goodness.
That's exactly what. Yeah, the
I'm
asshole
gonna-
prostate.
Oh, these are all good. Although the thing that bugs me is I wish it had said a man-made sausage of God. It says, just so I want to hear you. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to vote for Show Chew because I'm sort of now extra fascinated by what TikTok is doing because maybe the world domination is not taking our data. Maybe it's creating zombies out of college-educated adults in America. I mean, that's. I gotta say, hats off to that company for creating all these American zombies. It's gonna ruin our productivity.
I just love the idea that the way he phrased it is like David Attenborough watching a lion on the savannah, right? Like,
How is
this
he wrong? How is he
like
wrong?
he's kind of like, wow, look at the weird things they do in that place. Like, and he's not. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm
Right.
saying like when you phrase it that way,
ridiculous.
we look so fucking
We're
stupid.
animals.
Funny.
We look so dumb.
Break the tie, Matt.
I'm going to break the tie, and it's going to be Howard Schultz.
Yes.
Howard Schultz is... I mean,
I
you
love it.
cannot say everything you need to know resides inside you in a letter directed to the leaders of the company only, not anybody else, and then talk about all the people that you basically quash their unions.
Can I tell you my other favorite thing about that letter is he says this letter is not advice. It's not about giving advice. The
Yeah.
whole letter
Clearly.
was advice.
That-
Every sentence was advice.
That was literally the line the lawyer made him write in at the top. Like the following is not for investment advice.
I accept no liability.
Jesse, the money whisperer, what do you got? Exhausting this.
All right,
Of the
we
week.
only have 2 stories this
Whoa,
week.
whoa,
I wasn't
whoa.
totally exhausted
Nice.
going through headlines.
All right.
You
I
know,
like
3
this.
is a little much sometimes.
I know. Well, we'll see how the viewers, the audience likes to, and we
Yeah.
can accommodate
I
that.
like this.
All right, first one is all about Spotify.
Here we go.
Headline is Spotify has reportedly spent less than 10% of its Joe Rogan apology fund. So for
I like
anyone
this
that
headline.
needs
Yeah.
anyone that needs a refresher, Joe Rogan during COVID in 2021 was spreading misinformation about the spread of COVID, and so, healthcare workers and just audience in general wrote in and they were enraged. And Joe Rogan's show is a Spotify exclusive show. So Spotify, in order to calm everybody down, was like, okay, we're creating $100 million creator equity fund where it's a pool of money meant to foster diversity in podcasts and in music. And they planned to spend that whole fund, $100 million, in 3 years.
Right.
Well, it's been over a year and they've only spent 10% of it. So if my math checks out, they should be more around 33% than 10%.
He's not spending that
So-
money. He's not going to be spending that money.
Well, no, who? Joe? It's not
No,
Joe.
Daniel Eck, the controller
Yeah,
of Spotify,
so
the master
the-
of influence over there.
Just this
Spotify
February,
is
they're...
just to tell the audience, there's no Spotify. It is Daniel Eck. He controls the
that guy.
shit out of all of everything over there.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
correct.
then in February, unionized workers at Parcast, they're a Spotify podcast network, complained to management that Daniel Eck had
thank
greenlit only $5,000 out of the $100,000 earmarked for diversity plans.
$5,000.
$5,000 out of the $100,000.
Jeez.
So, they're not able to do
like
this
Our
because
CEO could give them more.
I know.
Like my kids ate that last
we
month.
could crowdsource more than that in like a week, I think. Yeah.
Well,
So anyways,
Yeah.
this exhausts me because it's clearly just an empty promise to quiet the angry listeners while really prioritizing the real thing that matters, which is the lucrative relationship they have with Joe Rogan, whose podcast is the #1 show in 93 countries.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Over ours, more popular than ours.
Surprisingly.
I see. I think this is this is the stuff that I hate most about the anti-DEI, anti-ESG movement that people like Strive love, is that it gives idiots like Daniel Ek kind of carte blanche to be like, fuck it. Like I don't care. Why don't?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like
right.
Once people have quieted a little bit about it, they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to actually come up with any process to spend this money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that
That's annoying.
sucks.
Well,
I'm tired.
All right, the next one, buy now, pay later. This kind of relates to
Buy now, pay
Ari's,
later.
which
I don't get
is
that. I don't even
you
get
know,
that
hate
concept.
buy now, pay later.
I don't even
Financial
understand the
wellness.
concept.
It's layaway. What do you mean
I know,
you don't
but-
understand it? You know what layaway is?
It's when
This is
people-
the
I
third
know
it's
what
when
it is, but I'm not from
people are
1952.
is when people
53.
are scrolling late at night and they're like, oh shit, here's another thing that I want because it's a targeted ad and they know they can't afford it. They're like, oh, that's fine. I'll just
Put
buy
down
now,
TikTok.
pay later. But here's the headline.
Mm-hmm.
Forget luxury goods. U.S. shoppers are now using buy now, pay later services to pay for groceries.
Oh,
Whoa.
that's not exciting. That's
That's
not
less-
exciting.
So historically, it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be exhausting. Historically, they've been used to purchase luxury goods, but now critics and regulators believe or are taking the stance that they're encouraging young people to spend beyond their means and get into debt. And
At
so
the
now,
grocery store?
no, just because it's widely available, they're doing that, and then it's forcing them to have to buy now, pay later for necessary goods rather than the luxury goods.
Whoa.
Ari,
But this-
Ari, explain to me, Ari, why can't we use a 3D printer to print out like carrots and lentil soup? And seriously, why can't we?
Just you wait, Damien.
Okay,
Edible,
called
edible
gardening.
Stuff.
because it could not. That could
there you
solve
go.
some actual problems, right? Except, right?
No, that's called dirt printing. It's new
Dirt
tech.
printing. It's upside down.
But then we would need to buy the microbes and stuff.
Reverse dirt printing is the new thing coming out of Silicon Valley. I don't think this one has even. There's only two here.
Spotify.
And
Yeah, this seems like an
I
easy.
said it first, so my
This
brain
seems
got
like an
poisoned.
easy one. Yeah.
it's definitely buy now, pay later. 100%.
This is a ground rule double that Ari didn't realize.
No, because this is not the first time this has already happened. There have been like predatory lending, like
Right.
payday loans.
Right.
Buy now, pay later was layaway in the past. This is basically people without money because they can't afford to live, borrowing a little bit and getting way into trouble. And now they're doing it with groceries. Like,
Right.
Yeah, and
It's
like
the same story wearing a different outfit,
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
which
like
is the definition of exhaustingness.
and it's kind of like a
Thank
sad
you.
sickness train, right? Because once you go into a little bit of debt, I think they just give up, right? People are just like, well, I'm already in a little bit of debt, so let's just let it ride, right?
Well, it's just hard. I mean, interest rates don't really.
Well, that was the thing about payday
Allow
loans
you to make.
and predatory loans, right? Like
have
the
money now.
compounding interest rates
Right.
were not like it ends up being like 60-70% a year that you can get charged in interest rates because you can't afford to pay it off, and pretty soon you're default. Like then they're repossessing your car if you have a car, and then you can't get to work, and then you lose your job, and then you can't pay your debt, right? Like it is an endless, terrible cycle. And now we're using it, and we're calling it buy now, pay later because it sounds techier and cooler. I hate it.
All right,
But
Matt,
Jesse,
that's,
think about that fund and how Daniel Ek is just hoarding it.
No,
I
don't try
know.
to convince her.
Oh,
She's
well,
not
voting.
voting.
Damien hasn't
I haven't
voted.
voted yet. I haven't voted
Damien's
yet.
definitely voting with me.
Who?
I haven't. Ari votes for Spotify. Matt votes for buy now, pay later. I mean, clearly the consumer debt problem, Matt rightly points out, is a hidden issue that we don't spend enough time addressing. So I lean to that, but I like Spotify. It kind of feeds into our narrative of these idiot founder, CEO chairs who control the voting power, hiding behind the name of their company. I mean, Daniel Ek should be pointed out every time Spotify does something horrible. And by the way, Spotify has sort of avoided everything. Like, no one really complains about Spotify. I guess because people like listening to music, so they're just happy to listen to music.
People like the app too much.
It's delightful.
But I gotta go. I gotta go for the consumer debt story too, because I don't think enough time is spent on this. You know, it's like to me, it's like it's akin to addiction and overeating. Like, it's just one of these sad things that people don't address. Because I think once you get into debt, I think you quickly lose control of that, and then you kind of. My guess is that you probably spend even more because you've kind of given up at that point, and then as you said, it just starts to compound on itself. No, it just starts to.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. So there you go. That's my depressing vote, Jesse.
All right. Now we're on to who won the week.
Yeah, we're actually almost out of here. This is a miracle.
It's like the greatest week ever.
I have a very quick, loserish, boring pick for who won the week. I'm just going for UBS, the Swiss bank, because they just happened to swallow their rival.
They happened to be there.
Just because they're way less stupid and corrupt, I suppose. But it just seems like a big win for them. No, Matt? Am I misreading this situation?
I mean, it's really what it is a big loss for Swiss taxpayers, because the way UBS got Credit Suisse is they got the Swiss National Bank to pay for any bad assets. So UBS got them, but wouldn't have bought them unless the government said, don't worry, if anything goes wrong, it's on us.
Okay.
I mean, that's not really getting them, right?
But still a future win for UBS, no?
You know, the amazing part about that story is UBS's initial offer to buy Credit Suisse was for $1 billion. And the Credit Suisse board were livid. The board of the company that failed miserably were angry that they only got $1 billion offer.
When was this offer?
This was like over the weekend, and then they structured it at $3.2 billion or whatever it closed at.
Livid. Yeah, good for them.
Livid.
Any other winners?
Yeah, mine also has to do with banks, and it's boring, but digital banks won this week.
Digital.
Yep.
3D printed banks. Go ahead.
They're digital. They don't exist. But Mercury, for example, they added more than $2 billion in deposits in just the 6 days after SVB closed. And Brex, based out of San Francisco, added 3,000 new customers and supposedly also took in billions. Like
Matt,
these digital banks can actually insure deposits up to $1 million or $3 million because they do the work and split it up against bigger banks.
Stop selling. Sell our company. Don't sell their company.
And yeah, people like JP Morgan took in $2 trillion, I think, just for comparison. $2 billion is not that much compared to JP Morgan's $2 trillion. Yeah, but JP Morgan's old and nobody wants to deal with them. So I don't know. I think digital banks are going to win.
Matt, share with the audience the story that you sent yesterday about people coming back already to Silicon Valley Bank.
There were lines outside of Silicon Valley Bank of people putting their money back in. And
true story.
They're quoted, true story. And they're quoted as saying, like, this is our community. The CEO or the current CEO was like, this is our community. Right. These are like, they share our values. They share our community. You know, we're here to stay. And they've gotten, several billions in deposits back in from the same startups that pulled them out and forced them to close.
Amazing.
Crazy.
It's fucking
really
insane.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oh, poor Mercury.
All right, here's who won the week.
Poor Mercury. Yeah, go ahead.
Incoming new Starbucks CEO Laxman.
Oh, good.
Because Howard Schultz made such a shitstorm leaving 2 weeks early, writing a letter to leaders and just being like, there's so much emphasis on him. Oh, don't buzz me myself.
That kind of like that, yeah.
Even fewer people are paying attention to the Southeast Asian male who's stepping into the role. That's why you hire him, too.
Perfect, Matt. That lines up with my prediction. We'll go on to predictions. My prediction is that Laxman, his nickname is the anti-coffee. That's what they call him, the anti-coffee.
That's...
Laxman Narasimhan, he bores the baristas so much that they just give up their union job.
Yeah, I like
right?
that.
I mean, that's probably a more effective way of busting union. It's just pushing people down into like a TikTok-induced coma, right?
He's already done it.
Right.
Because every barista in the world is now looking at their lid sizes and being like, why is it all different?
They're like, what are we really fighting for? What are we doing?
What are we doing here? What do we need healthcare for? We just need different lid sizes.
Southeast Asian CEO theory.
Here's my prediction. Howard Schultz releases a poetry book titled The Apron Resides in Each of Us.
The Green Apron. Correction.
It makes the New York Times bestseller list. He's featured on Oprah, and then he donates all of the proceeds to Vivek's presidential candidacy.
Well,
You know,
yeah, go ahead.
I
Ari.
also have a one for Starbucks theme.
Go ahead.
As it becomes summer and it heats up, they're going to have the same exact union problems. And now that they see or hear that there's going to be a lid change, they're like, oh, we can change something too.
They're going to vote to change the
Can I-
lids.
False hope.
Before we wrap up, can I say this is the fascinating thing about Starbucks is, and I think we've talked about this before, Matt, but Vivek, a company like Strive, you know, the knee-jerky anti-woke stuff, where would they land on a Starbucks, right? Because there's so many wokey things going on there, and yet Howard
I just
Schultz,
looked up
biggest
on-
union buster.
I just looked up on Second Vote, which is one of those anti-woke rater systems.
Okay, go ahead.
Fantastic. Starbucks is woke. They're red. they're red.
Despite having the most famous union-busting CEO in America.
Yeah, doesn't matter because the apron resides inside us.
I love it.
That's all we got. That's our Friday wrap. That's
plenty.
Damian Morales and Jesse the Money Whisperer and Ari the Data Queen. I'm Matt Biscardi. We are Free Float. Buy Board Sabermetrics by talking to any one of us. We'll give it to you for a clean thousands and thousands of dollars. But ask us for the data. Maybe we'll give you some of that for free. Otherwise, come back next week. Until then, goodbye.